Ready.
Today is October 18th, and the podcast that you're about to listen to, I recorded on September 14th, around there. And it's taken me a full month, a month plus, to actually be able to listen to what I said a month ago. And so I'm going to play this recording for you, this podcast for you. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of a insight as to where I was, what I was going through. This was a week or so, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the Canadian Open. And soon after the Canadian Open was the Zany Ice Trial, the UKI Ice Trial, which is international champion event. So it's a hard weekend, hard courses. And in the middle of the ice trial, I woke up at 4 a.m. thinking about agility, thinking about Eli, thinking about my handling. And I recorded the podcast that you're about to listen to at 4 a.m. So you're going to hear me yawning. Potentially you'll understand that I'm yawning. I kind of ramble a little bit. But for me, it was a really important step for what I was going through at the time. And I'll give you a recap at the very end. Welcome to episode 69 of the Go Get 'em Agility podcast. My name is Margaret, and I'm your host. And I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So what's going on? I'm in an NQ, an elimination slump for, I don't know, for a while, for a few months. We haven't gotten any cues. And it's not for Eli's lack of trying. Oh my gosh, this boy tries. He does so well. I'm so stinking proud of him. And we've had some brilliant moments within courses, absolutely brilliant, that I'm in awe of, and he just does his job. I'm frustrated with my handling. I'm frustrated with my lack of, well, let me tell you why I'm doing the podcast. Let me tell you why I'm even telling you about my slump, about my frustration. Because I know that some of my students go through the same thing. I know that agility is hard. I know that dogs are unpredictable. I know that everything about agility can become overwhelming from your friends watching you, from your competition watching you, from just you watching your own videos. It can become disheartening when you don't have light at the end of the tunnel, or what seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm driving home yesterday, and I had some great plans. I had some really good strategy for my courses. And I got to remember, so I'm driving home, and I'm like, what is it? What is going on that is causing all of our NQs, causing all of our eliminations? And it's multiple factors. And so the reason that I'm doing this podcast is to kind of level the playing field for myself. This is one of my ways that I help myself succeed, is I figure things out through writing them down, talking them out, visualizing where things are falling apart. And then try to actively either seek help or create my own help. So after the Canadian Open, I had, every run was either brilliant or terrible. I had one really brilliant round that I absolutely loved, but we still NQ'd because we were a fraction of a second over time. 0.362 seconds over time. And when I look back on that run, I only had one mistake in there. And the only mistake was I sent my dog over a jump as a regular jump as opposed to collecting him for a backside. And that collecting him for the backside would have put him in the perfect position to do the gamble and make the buzzer before the buzzer. So our perfect run was a gambler's run, and you're only allowed, I think, 14 seconds in your closing, and I was obviously 14.362. But it was a brilliant run. He did everything that I asked. I ran everything that I planned other than that backside. But I had both the backside and the straight jump in my mind. So I actually worked them both in my walkthrough. And I opted to do the backside, but I actually thought that I had enough time to do the straight side. So I pulled him off the weave poles, put him over the jump straight, and anyway, the rest is history. So after the Canadian Open, or during the Canadian Open, I was sat on the bleachers talking with Emma, and I'm like, what do I need? What is going on with me that I need? And one of the things that I came up with was I need to go back to class. I haven't been in a class because my instructor, I had 2 instructors in the last 2 years, both of them retired. And I'd been going to, them intermittently. So both of them retired. So Eli basically, I guess that's been the last year. Eli basically went from a year and a half and getting instruction in his early part of his training to when he started competing, my instructors retired. And so I've been without an instructor for over a year. So the type of instructor that I'm looking for is quite a distance away or unavailable. So I have inquired a couple of instructors near me that teach on the same days that I teach. So that's a struggle. But anyway, so I did find an instructor distance away. So we are starting this week with a new instructor. And I'm super, super excited about that because what I feel an instructor brings to me, a physical, in-person instructor, what I feel that they bring to me is what I'm hoping. I haven't been with this instructor, so this is what I'm hoping. This is what I want. I want them to yell at me not yell at me, but I want them to tell me while I'm running, yes, you have enough time to make the blind. Talk to him now. Look at him. Make eye connection with him. Lower your hands. Raise your hands. Continue verbal instruction to him. Because I can't see when most of our problems that I've got, I can't see where he's at because I'm in front. And that is one of my major problems right now, is that I'm losing eye contact with him. I'm losing physical sight of him. And part of that is because I want to be so far forward. So there's a lot of me thinking about what I need and then losing the ability to see what he needs. And I really want an instructor to be able to tell me he needs you now versus me going ahead and running what I need. So it's that learning the timing of getting ahead, getting to the location that I want to be next while he's on a certain obstacle, but then needing to know when to reconnect with him so that I don't lose him to an off-course jump, or he doesn't wrap tight enough, or he's on the dog walk and I want to be able to do a blind. Do I have enough time to do that blind, or do I have to pull back for a rear, whatever? So I'm really, really excited to start an instructor. I do think that I'm really hopeful. So I'll give you a little update about how this goes and whether or not we start cueing again. And that may take some time, right? So I need to give myself some time to be under a new instructor, and I need to get the instructor in my head. That's what I need. So I've lost that from the years of instructing that I've had. I've lost hearing my instructor talk to me on course. And I do like that. I really, really like that. So I'm a physical in-person type of a handler. All right. So without an instructor's advice, this is what I think Eli needs from me. I am, what I said earlier, where I'm working too hard on my location, on where I need to be, and I'm failing to tell him what he needs to do to come onto my path that I want, as opposed to take the obstacle that is in his eyesight, or that my motion may be indicating, but the verbal that he needs, or the eye contact that he needs, or the hand signal that he needs, I'm not giving it to him. An example was yesterday. It went jump, tunnel, but in his visual coming out of that tunnel, if he looked at me, there was a jump, and if he looked straight out of the tunnel, there was an A-frame. But the second tunnel went under the dog walk. So I was on the far side of the dog walk, and he had to come out of the tunnel into another tunnel and then onto another layer. So it went jump, wall, jump, and I was layering the wall jump. So I was thinking about me. I was thinking about, I need to push him out of that jump and keep him on the far side of the wall jump to another jump. And so instead of cueing the tunnel to the tunnel, which I kind of thought was obvious, so maybe that was it. Instead of cueing the tunnel to the tunnel, I started beginning to cue the tunnel to the jump, because I knew that I needed to push him out a little bit. And he came out of the first tunnel and went straight to the A-frame. And I'm like, oh. And he's not an A-frame sucker, right? So I wasn't expecting it. But if I had even called his name or told him tunnel, I'm pretty sure he would have taken the tunnel. So I'm failing to give him verbal cues and watching his line coming out of the tunnel and reconnecting with him, right? I'm just assuming that he's going to grab some of these obstacles. So I need to stay in more connection with him, especially out of tunnels, especially when he's behind me. So those are two things for sure: an instructor and connecting with him when he's behind me. The third thing that I've identified is that I'm not trusting him. I'm not trusting that he knows all of his verbals. I'm not trusting that when I do give him the verbal and he does start to perform it, that when there's opposing motion involved, that he's going to stay committed. And when I don't trust him, I don't move forward. And when I don't move forward, I lose the next obstacle. So the trust that I'm lacking on obstacle, 14, then causes me problems on obstacle 15. So there's that lack of trust, because I need to trust that he'll take the obstacle that I've given him. So again, I can move forward to support the next obstacle. So without that trust, I'm losing obstacles further down the line. So I need to trust him. I need to trust that I've trained him. I need to trust that I can see him on the correct line and go ahead and move forward. One of the difficulties with trusting him and trusting the line that I see him on, because he's pretty clear when he's on a straight line, but he runs very, very close to a wing. So we're talking like a backside. And So he will pull into me a little bit and then push back out. And it's that pulling into me that gets me. That's where I'm like, oh, he's coming in. And yet that's actually how he runs. And I need to trust that he's initially going to pull in and then he'll push back out, which is not a normal herding dog behavior. Herding dogs generally go wider. And so when I see him pull in, I push in. And that pushing in then causes me to get trapped and lose step for the next obstacle. And he, twice yesterday. Once he hit my ankle coming over a jump. I was right in his way, and he literally landed on my ankle because I didn't get out of his way. Because I didn't trust that he was going to take the next obstacle. So I was trying to not be in his path. I wasn't trying to force him onto the jump, but I was trying to show decel to allow him to get the jump. So it was an in and in, and he jumped in massive extension on the jump coming into the in and in, and I was right on his path. I was right on his landing zone, and so I did not plan that well to go slightly wider and then push him back onto the jump if required. He was in perfect alignment to take the jump, and I was right on his path. He slammed into my ankle to the point where I actually thought he strained his neck. That's how hard he slammed into me. And I didn't fall or anything, but man, I felt bad for him because I was pretty well planted in my step, and he took the brunt of the collision there. And all because I didn't trust him to take the in and in. And then another one was a backside slice where he had to go to the backside, and he was going to the right wing. I was on the left wing. And again, I didn't trust him. And so I pushed in slightly, which caused me, one, to be on his landing zone, but two, to get trapped by the wing. And so I felt myself pull my foot off of his landing zone to give him a place to throw his feet down, and literally almost chin clipped him on what felt like a chin clip. I'll have to go back and look at that video. But it felt like I chin clipped him. And then I sent him forward for the teeter, and he had it, but he, for whatever reason, was off balance and started to slide his butt off the back. Managed to keep on, but it felt awful and it looked awful. So that actually may get us tomorrow or today. That actually may get us today in on the teeter if you got worried about that. All right, so 1, I need an instructor. 2, I need to cue him. I need to connect with him and tell him where he's going. And 3, I need to trust him. So those are 3 big areas that I have identified that is causing our cue slump, that is causing us to NQ and eliminate. But here's another one that I really need to keep in mind, and it's twofold. 1, he's super young. He is 2.5 years old. He's an awesome dog, but he is still full of a ton of feelings, a ton of his own energy that is not yet connected with me enough to totally trust what I'm doing, right? We're still learning to drive this course together, and he's the fastest dog that I've ever run. And so learning how to drive that is taking me longer than I thought it would, quite honestly. But it's taking me and him time to figure each other out, right? I mean, I've trained him for 2.5 years, but when you're moving at 5, 6, 7 yards a second, there's not a lot of time for mistakes. And so it's twofold though. He's young, but also within that short time period of trialing, he's made it to the top level where there are zero mistakes. And in UKI, you're not, even at the lower levels, you're not allowed to have an off course. An off course is an immediate elimination, or NQ. And so we've made it to the top level, and we're on the hardest courses. And I'm going to trials that are drawing people from across the country because they're world team tryouts. You can get buys to tryouts. You can get buys to the U.S. Open or the West Coast Open or the Canadian Open. So I'm entering trials that are beyond our skill set. But let me give you a little caveat on why. I work these trials. I help out at these trials every single time. And so my entry fee is paid for. And so that is really the only reason that I'm entering all the classes that I'm entering. And I don't run them all. There are classes that I feel are too hard for us. And so I do scratch them from those from time to time. But I'm also driven to see if we can get it yet, right? So I'm putting myself into these classes knowing that we're not quite there yet. And maybe I will never be there, right? I mean, I'm not convinced yet. Emma's going to kill me for saying this. I'm not convinced yet that I like these courses. Some of them I find overwhelming. And yesterday, one of the courses, with the slump that we've had, with a number of NQs that we've had over the months that we've had them, I didn't even want to try. So I scratched them. I volunteered. I didn't want to feel the pressure of knowing that I can't get there yet. I can't get into that position yet. Eli has all the skills. I know he does. It's the handling. And so, or at least he has most of the skills, right? I'm sure that there are still some skills that I'm overlooking that hopefully I will see in class, right? The instructor will say, you need to go back home and train that. So he's at the top level of classes to enter. And so I need to know that there's a time period, there's a road that I need to travel to catch up to these classes, right? Like he got through beginner, he got through novice, he got through even senior, and senior and champion at times run on the same course. So for the entire time that he ran senior, we've been most of the time on championship courses. But now he's in championship and I'm falling apart. And I'm not sure why. I mean, right? I mean, I've identified all these things and I know that I need to connect with them and all that. But there's one other thing for me that is definitely playing a role. And it's a little embarrassing. And I'm going to tell you because that's how I work. That's how I process things. But it's hard for me to tell you. And that is imposter syndrome, or the feeling of imposter syndrome. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I'm a brilliant instructor. But I know that I'm not for everybody. And I know that I don't have any background in instructing. I don't have any background in a teacher certificate or in childhood learning or just learning, right? I mean, I'm not a professor. I'm not a teacher. I'm a coach. And I guess coaches go to school for it, but I never have. I've never sought out how to teach. I've never sought out, other than back when I was doing a ton of obedience,
I'd go to a ton of classes and seminars, and there was a lot more how to teach there. So I learned how to teach obedience and stuff like that. But teaching agility, it's a lot harder than teaching obedience. It's a lot harder. I taught obedience and just family behavior, separation anxiety, aggression. I taught all of that for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And then I switched over to agility, and I'd been doing agility throughout, with my own dogs throughout that. But I've only been instructing agility for, I don't know, I think 8 years, 9 years now. I'm not sure. Maybe 7. I don't know. I think 8. And in that 8 years, I have definitely learned a lot. What I think I'm really brilliant at is the dog training part of agility. I know how to teach a dog how to do agility. Humans are a whole different kettle of fish. And teaching humans with our feelings that we have, with our insecurities that we have, humans are fun to teach, but can also be difficult to teach. And there's a wide variety of personalities, which in partly makes agility a lot of fun, right? Because the personalities are definitely fun for me to try and figure out how to connect with, but it doesn't mean that I'm always doing it the right way. And so when I am NQing myself, it brings up all of my insecurities of, if I can't teach myself, how am I teaching you, right? And there is, I know that for myself, I can't see what I'm doing, right? Like, I can watch video of myself, but I am an in the person moment type learner, I think, right? I suppose I could send my videos off to somebody else and have them give me feedback. That would work. But I would much rather have in-person instruction right now than video. So maybe if my new instructor doesn't pan out over the next year, then maybe in another year I'll go on to video analysis. I don't know. So when I'm NQing, it brings up all of my insecurities of being an instructor. And trust me, I'm not that insecure when it comes to being an instructor. I love instructing. I've got great students, and I see their progress, right? I see their progress. But I want to do well for them as well, right? I want to show that I can do it with a fast dog, that I can do it with a young dog. And so while we have done some brilliant stuff and we've gotten to the top level, I've hit a plateau, right? And so the reason that I'm putting this into a podcast is because I want to normalize it. I want to let my students know that this is not necessarily a them problem. It is just a handling agility problem at times. And when I watch the classes that I'm entering at the level that I'm at, when I go and look at the score sheet, a huge amount of my colleagues and my friends at trials are in my boat. We are all struggling with cues. The courses are extremely difficult. And yesterday I watched one course get 2 cues. And the dogs that got them, the handlers that got them, were seasoned, probably 5-6-year-old dogs that were in the zone. They were just in the agility cue zone. And they were brilliant runs. And do I remember any of the NQs that happened? No, I don't. I couldn't tell you anybody that, other than I know all the people in the class, but I couldn't tell you any one run of the people that queued. And yet my cues, my end cues with Eli feel like they have a spotlight on them for me, right? Like I'm putting the spotlight on the end cues. And so when I look back on Eli's runs over the last month, all I'm remembering are the moments that I messed up. And I need to get back to remembering the moments that were brilliant, the sections of the runs that were brilliant. So I had a student suggest, and I think that's a good idea. So I came home from the Canadian Open, and I put together all of Eli's runs. I put them all in one video. And it's a pretty long video because we messed up a lot. So we were on the 1 minute scale as opposed to, 35 seconds or whatever. And so I put the whole thing together, and then I rewatch, and as I'm putting it together, I'm rewatching all of our runs, and then I couldn't go on. I got so frustrated with myself again that I'm like, oh my God, I can't watch this anymore. And so I quit. I quit producing the video. But I need to go back and produce the video. I really do. Because I do want to highlight where I'm going wrong. I want to do my own video analysis on my own runs. But it's hard when you're in an NQ slump, right? When it's a one-off, I have no problem with it. I'm totally cool with it. But when I'm NQing every single run, it gets frustrating for me. So I do need to go back and do that. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a highlight reel. I'm going to do all those moments that were brilliant, that I felt connected, that I felt ran exactly how I planned, that highlight Eli's amazing talent, because I need that right now. I need to see how brilliant this dog is and that I can handle him. So I'll be doing that probably over the next week. But I don't want you to watch that highlight reel and think that life in Eli and my agility journey is easy right now, because it's anything but. I don't know that I have cried over agility as much as I have in the last month. And I don't cry over agility. So maybe something's going on with me mentally. I don't know. But I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm telling you this because I want to normalize it. I want to hear myself say, you need to connect with your dog. You need to look at your dog. You need to cue your dog. That's what I need to do to help highlight his brilliance on course. I need to give him a chance to get the right obstacle. And if I don't give him the chance to get the right obstacle, then he can't cue. He can't not get the wrong obstacle, right? So I need to hear myself say that. So that is why I'm doing this podcast, is to highlight what I need and what I need to give him and my strategies for trying to get us out of this slump, and to highlight the good things that are going on at trials and in our courses, and just how much I love this dog. He gives me everything. Now, he is doing some naughty stuff right now, and I think that he's doing some naughty stuff because of my frustration. So he is getting more growly at dogs before and after our runs. It could be his age. It may be time to neuter him. But I also think that he is reading me like a book, and he is reading that I am frustrated, and he is reading that I'm feeling nervous about our runs, and yet I don't feel nervous. I gotta say that. I really don't feel nervous, but he's reading something. So he came off the line yesterday. I was not frustrated, but I'm like, oh my God, I think we got he knocked the first bar in snooker, so we got a 0 in snooker yesterday. And so we literally went from 5 seconds to the end. And so he was pretty hot because he was off the first obstacle, right onto the last obstacle. And I was walking, kind of laughing that we got a 0. And he left the ring and circled a dog barking at him and then came back to me. He's never left the ring to go bark at another dog. He never made any contact, but he did circle them barking at him, which he's never done. He likes other dogs. He was just super high and redirected on that dog. And so I need to pay particular attention to that and get a better end routine for him going, which our end routine has been okay. I've been keeping him on me. I don't like to send him to the leash because he will redirect on a leash runner or a bar setter. And so I try and keep him with me. But that's definitely something that I need to pay attention to as well. So working through that. But he is a brilliant dog. He has been slightly naughty in some of our cueing, where I thought I was very clear in some of my verbals for backsides versus jumps. He's been doing the opposite. But other than that, I would say that 95% of our end cues have been on my handling. Yeah, 95% of end cues, eliminations on my handling. Or my handling choices, right? One of my tough things in Canada was there's a lot of people in the walkthrough. You have a huge group of people in the walkthrough. And I never felt like I could visualize my lines, my handling lines. So that was tough for me. And but it filtered over to this weekend, and there weren't that many people in the walkthrough, and I felt very comfortable about my lines, and I still lost them. So I can't blame the big crowd anymore, is what I'm saying. All right, got another day today. Maybe I'll do a little recap of how today went, let you know if it's continuing or if I made a breakthrough. Just know that having a lot of NQs is not abnormal in the agility world. In fact, I think that nationally, I think it sits at a 50% Q rate per weekend, or, nationally overall, that people are queuing 1 out of 2 times or 5 out of 10 times. Or lower, I would say. I think Bad Dog Agility did a podcast on that. All right, going to keep trying, going to keep plugging away. I love this game. I know that we can qualify. And, here's one other thing. Here's another reason I think that we're NQing. There's a title on the line. With each jumping run that I do, there's a title. We are that close to getting his championship. And so, he needs just a few more cues to get his championship, and we can get it at every trial. And so there's actually 3 cues on the line. There's his international championship, and then his international win, and his speed stakes. So there's 3 titles that I know with every run we have the possibility of getting a title. And I don't care about titles. That's what gets me. But I've also never had a championship ever. All of my dogs have either had to retire early due to injury, retire because of jumping problems. I had a serious ETS dog. I never got to the highest level with my younger dogs, my very first dogs. One got injured. She just decided, I'm done. And I was not a skilled enough handler to figure out how to help her. Ludo injured his back. So my 4 dogs, Eli's my 4th dog. Jellybean injured her. Jellybean just kind of quit. She was never really into agility. Ludo injured his back. Oh, Eli's my fifth dog. Tia got early takeoff syndrome. Jinx broke his ankle, which was unrecoverable to bring him back to agility. And now Eli. I've put a lot of pressure on this dog. I want a lot of things with this dog. Yeah, I've put a lot of pressure on you, buddy. I'm sorry. Do I end my podcast there? I'll give you a recap of what happens today. And then we have another trial next weekend. And I'm I'm only entering these trials, one, because UKI is few and far between, but also I work them. Maybe I need to take a little hiatus, but I also love seeing my students. I love seeing my friends out there. So agility is also camaraderie for me. All right, I'm struggling. I'm trying to identify what I need, what Eli needs. I'm trying not to care. I'm trying to be the best handler I can for this dog, to give him all the information he needs to do what he does so wonderfully. Happy training. Woof, woof.
Eli got his championship. He got his championship the very next weekend at the rat trial. The podcast that I did, the talking through that I did of what I needed to do, how I identified some of our struggles, and me talking about it, actually talking about it in the podcast and trying to explain to my students, to my listeners, what I was going through and how I was trying to combat it, it worked. I came out of that podcast the very next day. I went back to sleep, I got back up, and I went to the trial. And talking through it worked for me. I'm not saying it works for everybody, but I think that identifying how you process things that you're going through is really, really valuable. And I'm proud of myself for kind of knowing the path that I needed, or at least going down a path that I may not have wanted to, which is talking about my struggles. I don't like talking about my struggles. But going ahead and doing that, it really laid out for me the path that I needed to take. And I had one instruction with my new instructor. It was absolutely brilliant. I was thrilled with it. We're now on a break. We're going back starting this next week. But it really identified for me that I do need an in-person instructor, that I need someone to tell me what I'm doing, because I've been doing 15, 20 years of handling, and I handle a lot for a slower dog. And so her insight to helping me handle the dog that I've got now, Eli being much faster than any dog I've ever done, was absolutely the thing that I did, or the thing that I needed. And so I'll continue with this instructor as long as I can. But I really wanted to normalize how difficult agility is, how identifying your weaknesses is the way to build those weaknesses into strengths. And to know that an NQ slump, it doesn't last forever. And it may last a very long time, but it doesn't last forever. And if you keep working on yourself and on your handling and your dog's skills, that eventually you'll get to where you want to go. And so my point of this recap, my point is, don't give up. Don't stop before the magic happens. Live within your uncomfortable zone and keep training yourself, keep training your dog, keep building on the success that you have in practice, and keep going for it. Keep going for the goals that you have. And keep smiling along the way, even if there are tears in between those smiles. Some days, some months, some stretches of time are not brilliant. They're not what you picture in your agility journey. but they are part of your agility journey, and learning to embrace that and finding the small, brilliant moments are important. And then identify the struggles and work on them. So I still plan to do the highlight reel for Eli from the Canadian Open. I still plan to do the NQ reel, I think. We'll find out. But keep training. Keep trying. Don't give up. Keep pursuing your goals. Happy training. Woof woof.